Once again, the astrology always indicates what is happening. Astrology does not cause things to happen, but it shows us what is happening in the world. And today, on January 3rd, 2026, we had front page news. The United States had a full-on scale attack on Venezuela and captured the Venezuelan president. Let's talk about the astrocartography, the Astro map, and the transits that show that this indeed happened. Let's get into today's video. This news is so crazy. I have not been able to focus on anything but what has happened in the news, in the world today. January 3rd, 2026, at 2 o'clock in the morning, the U.S. attacked Venezuela and captured the Venezuelan president. Front page headline on the New York Times. My husband texted me this information, but I was at the coffee shop talking with some locals, not aware of what was going on, and then he texted me and showed me the front page headline, and I could not believe it. This is a topic that is very close to my husband's and my life. My husband's family is from Venezuela, and this is a very sensitive topic for him and for us, and I'm not going to share my personal thoughts or opinions on this subject, as I am an astrologer and I keep all of my political opinions always out of all of my work. We need to get into the astrology and talk about the Astro map and what was going on, because the astrology is striking. Before we get started, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell and check out my geodetic equivalence cheat sheet. You can find that in the link down below in the description so you can learn more about geodetic astrology. I also recommend checking out my previous podcast episode on Cosmic Compass. I also have plenty of geodetic and world prediction videos on this channel, and you can go find those in the playlist down below. Also included a link for you there. Let's get started with today's video. So as we can see here, President Trump announces on social media that the United States has captured Nicolas Maduro, the Venezuelan leader, and his wife, and they are being flown out of the country. So of course, as an astrologer, the first thing I do was I pulled up the chart of the moment. For any of you guys who are new to astrology, there is a certain niche within astrology called electional astrology. An electional astrology is being able to see a chart for the moment that something happens. Think of it as an event chart. When a specific thing happens in the world, in life, maybe we break our ankle, we go meet up with a friend at the coffee shop, there is literally a birth chart for the event itself. So this is electional astrology. It's fascinating. I highly recommend getting into it. But there is a chart for the moment that the attack started on Venezuela. So I pulled up the chart here on Astro Gold, January 3rd, 2026 at 2 a.m. in Caracas, Venezuela. And we could see Scorpio was rising at 5 degrees. And we have that massive Capricorn pile up. The Mars-Sun conjunction, which can show war, fighting, or a fighting spirit. Mars in Capricorn represents generals, or a mission, or an operation. Mars in Capricorn is extremely skilled and talented. Mars, the planet of action, attacks, aggression. The way you take action in life excels in Capricorn. Mars is exalted in Capricorn. It's royally lifted up and has a lot of talents and skills in operating a mission. So Mars in Capricorn, every time I think of Mars in Capricorn, I always think of a general or a mission or like a top secret operation. And the action is decisive and quick, swift, and gets it done. With Venus and the Sun exactly at 12 degrees Capricorn conjunct Mars within 2 degrees. That is a very tight conjunction, all this Capricorn energy. Mercury also just entered Capricorn at 2 degrees Cap. So we have 4 planets, 4 traditional inner planets all in Capricorn. Now, why is today so important? Well, this Mars-Sun conjunction is exactly opposite the moon. At the moment that this happened, the moon was at 10 degrees Cancer, meaning this was a full moon. Full moons are dramatic. They are moments of drama, of upheaval, and major things happening. They're also very emotional times in the world. We are feeling it, but also collective news tends to happen during full moon. Full moons are peak luminosity, peak drama. Ever notice that emergency rooms are always full? Hospitals are always full during full moons more than any other time in the month. Full moons are dramatic moments in the lunar cycle. So we have the full moon in Cancer, opposite this massive Capricorn stellium, exactly within 2 degrees. The moon was at 10 degrees, the sun was at 12, and Mars was at 14. This highlighting the land. Cancer represents land, the home, the family. There is something else that's really important about all of this. The other thing about this chart that is very striking, Jupiter. This was a sign-based conjunction. And if you're in my course, Natal Promise, we talk all about sign-based conjunctions and why they're so important. Jupiter was at 21 degrees Cancer, the moon at 10 degrees. This is a sign-based conjunction. Jupiter expands and makes things bigger. And while a lot of us are feeling, aside from the news, right, Moon-Jupiter conjunctions are wonderful days. Usually we're feeling optimistic, hopeful, happy, excited. Possibilities are endless. With Jupiter in Cancer and then the moon in its domicile, this is a nice couple of few days. However, we must not forget that Jupiter also represents expansion and making things bigger than big. So with a full moon, already peak drama, opposing Mars, war, challenges, action, generals, conflict, missions, with the Sun and Venus there, Jupiter's just making that a whole lot bigger because it's in a sign-based conjunction. But let's bring up the Astro map. As you guys know, I am a locational astrologer. I specialize in astrocartography and astro mapping, and we've got to pull up the geodetic equivalence map to see exactly what is going on in Venezuela. So I pulled up the geodetic map for the exact moment that this happened, and we can see Jupiter is exactly going through Caracas. So this full moon was really highlighting the bigger than big stories of this. Now, I also want to bring up, I did also just want to take a peek at the astrocartography map, which is different from the geodetic map. Geodetic maps we use for world predictions involving countries and things of that nature. And I talk all about this in my other videos as well as my geodetic equivalence cheat sheet down below. But the really crazy thing is that Pluto was exactly on the IC at the time of the attack. The IC represents the land, the place, the country. Pluto represents attacks, abuse, corruption, the abuse of power, an attack on someone, a death to someone. And Pluto on the IC, where is it on the astrocartography map? In Venezuela? Going right through Caracas at the exact moment. Pluto on the IC, the full moon opposite Mars and Cap, Jupiter expanding that and making it bigger, and then Jupiter on the geodetic line going right through Caracas. I mean, this is just very clear that astrology is always a reflection of what is happening. And for those of you that are in the comments and saying something like, oh, astrology can't make things happen, this is too big of a thing to make it happen, you're not listening to any of my videos. Go back to my recent video that I posted earlier last week. What is astrology? That's the title of the video. What is astrology? Astrology does not make things happen. It's a signal, a reflection of that which is happening. These godly messengers, these wandering stars, they're just reflecting that which is. They're just giving us messages. It's a language. That's all astrology is. It's a language. It's not a belief system. It's a language. We will see what comes from the news. I'm not making any predictions based on what's happening because, to be honest, everything's going to change. Once we get to the Saturn-Neptune conjunction at February 14th, 1:11 a.m. France time, by the way. Paris time, it literally changes at 1:11 in the morning. I literally checked it today and set a countdown timer for all of you guys that follow me on Instagram. Definitely go check out my countdown timer. And I also created a music playlist for you to get ready for the Saturn and Neptune and Aries transit. Punk rock is back. If you liked music from 1996 to 1999, your music is coming back. Think Blink-182, Foo Fighters. The music is about to go punk rock and grunge. Created a whole playlist for those of you that like that music, so definitely check me out over on Instagram and click the little countdown reminder so that you are ready for the Saturn-Neptune conjunction. And I don't want to make any predictions because I just think everything's going to change. I think everything's going to change once we get into mid-February. All bets are off. Anything can happen. I'm looking at France, UK news. I'm looking at Chicago news. I'm looking at New Orleans, and I'm looking at the Federal Reserve. These are all things that I'm just keeping a close eye on when we get to that last 2 weeks of February during eclipse season. I enjoy keeping up with the news, as my Mercury and Gemini self likes to do. I hope you enjoyed this video and got caught up on some Astro news updates. Follow me over on Instagram at Ms. Helena Woods for more Astro news updates, and I'll see you in the next video.